What is up, my friends? We are back. Another golf weekly betting preview coming off the Vegas swing, CJ Cup. It was a very interesting week to say the least. We were the only ones, I think, on Twitter.com that was sweating a Keith Mitchell ticket. I touted Keith Mitchell 320 to 1, and he had a 5-shot lead heading into the weekend, but couldn't pull it out. And look, you have a long shot that's 320 to 1. What do you really expect from him? But Keith gave it a good run. We had a good sweat and we couldn't get there, but it's been a good start to the season. This is week 5. We already have a winner. We need to have one winner every 7 weeks to be profitable, and we are already ahead of schedule. We've been close the first 4 weeks. The only week we weren't close was Sanderson, but we had a runner up with Wolf last. We in Vegas we had second and third, so Wolf and Keith Mitchell. But this week we head to Japan, ZOZO Championship. This was here 2 years ago. Last year it was at Sherwood in California because of COVID. So you guys already know that. So I'm just gonna break down the board and then let you guys know what I think. So yeah, it's gonna be a fun week. I like primetime golf. Who doesn't like primetime golf? Get to watch it at like 10:30 at night. It's gonna be fun. So we will jump right into the betting board. I will be using Rick's site to break down some golfers. And yeah, let's see what we got. So I'm using DraftKings for the odds. The first 4 on the board are the clear favorites, and we got X, Colin, Decky, and WZ. Then it gets a little bit shaky. And it depends how you want to break down your card this week. I really don't think you can bet. I really think the lowest you can bet is a 7-1 guy. Or at least how my model sets up with strategy. And do I want a single bullet? Maybe Colin was number 1 in my model, but he wasn't number 1 in my model by like an outstanding percentage. Like where Sam Burns was number 1 in my model, he was number 1 in my model by heavily number 1, and it was like I should have bet Sam Burns at 18 to 1, but you live and you learn. So yeah, X and Colin clear favorites. This is a no cut event, as we saw last week. A no cut event. The cream rises to the top. So I think you're gonna want to get one of these guys if you can, because the cream does rise to the crop in these no cut events. We saw it in the Olympics. We saw it last week. We see it in basically every no cut event that is on the PGA Tour. So yeah, my model went 1 Morikawa, 2 Hideki, 3 Zalatoris, 4 X, 5 Grillo, 6 Keegan, 7 Joaquin Neiman, 9 KH Lee, 10 Luke List, and 11 EVR. I might have skipped a number, but yeah, that was the model. And what I got out of that was, Morikawa number 1, but it wasn't by enough. What's up, BK? It wasn't by enough for me to go Morikawa single bullet, which I almost did last week, but it wasn't by enough for me to go Morikawa single bullet. So I'll tell you what I did at the top. I took Hideki and Zalatoris. I got 14 to 1 on Hideki at FanDuel, I believe, or maybe yesterday I got it. 14 to 1 Hideki and 20 to 1 Zalatoris. So let's break down Hideki Matsuyama and tell you what I like. I mean, I don't really have to sell you on Hideki. He's clearly one of the best ball strikers in the world, maybe second behind Colin Morikawa. The thing that's scaring me is this right here. Let me zoom in. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight weeks he's lost putting. And look how many he lost last week. Damn near 10 strokes putting. But he doesn't need to gain 10 strokes putting. He needs to be a 0. He needs to be a -1, and he needs to let his ball striking do the work. He finished second here 2 seasons ago, and he ran into a buzzsaw in a guy by the name of Tiger Woods, who lapped the field, won by 6 shots. If Tiger Woods wasn't there, Hideki may win this tournament. Hideki is back in Japan where he was not the favorite, but he was a favorite to win in Japan at the Olympics. And I didn't bet him because I thought it was going to be too much pressure for him after coming off that Masters win. Like, everyone was going to be excited to bet Hideki, but I think he performed well in the Olympics and well enough for me to go back to him in Japan in a no-cut event. He's gonna put some rounds together, and if he starts off slow, there's no cut. He can bounce back, and this is going to be a tougher course than what we're seeing. You don't need to go 62, 63, 64. Like, you don't have to be shooting for minus 25. I don't think, unless it gets a little soft, but I don't think it's going to be that low. I'm thinking 13 through 16, which is a good range for these top guys, because these top guys don't really Birdie Fest is not where the best players in the world make their hay. They make their hay in harder events, scores, like obviously majors. Like, it makes sense. So yeah, I went with Hideki at the top, and I'm just gonna tell you guys right now, this is the smallest betting card I've ever made. I'm still fully allocated 5 units, but I went top heavy this week, and it's because this field is so weak, and I feel like these guys at the top these top 4 guys have such clear better golfers than even Tommy Fleetwood, that is the next guy, which is crazy because Tommy Fleetwood is just horrible. Yeah, and my next bet is Will Zalatoris. Will Zalatoris was third in my model. He never really models out too high for me because I take into consideration a lot of things. I can just show you guys how I model out and why I think I win a lot is because I don't just make one model. I'm just gonna show you guys. I make about 25 models a week, and from there I rank them based on how they rank out in the 25 models. It's a very complex system, but it works. But I don't live and die by the model. I use the model. I use my brain. I use narratives. I think I'm smart, and I go with my gut, and I use my model to see who I think will perform well. And it's been profitable and been working in my golf betting career. So my next bet is Will Zalatoris. I got him at 20-1 on PointsBet. Why do I like Will Zalatoris this week? He's one of the best ball strikers in the world, and he just needs to be a zero putter. And what makes it extra this week where I like Zalatoris, this is not going to be a minus 20. And I always preach that Will Zalatoris is not going to win in a minus 20 or greater birdie fest. He does not score like that. Where does he contend? Augusta, Kiwa, tough courses where the score is minus 10, fairway green, make a few putts when needed to. This makes sense for Zalatoris, especially if the score is minus 15, because in his mind, I feel like in his mind, hard golf courses versus easy golf courses aren't that big of a drop off, because he knows he's not going to make 25 birdies a week. He knows he's going to hit X number of greens a week and roll in a few putts. And so I feel like this really sets up well for him. And if the spot where he wins is in a weak field in Japan, maybe people will like give him a little shit for it, but I feel like that definitely checks out. So let's look at Will Zalatoris' number. Look at these ball striking numbers. The last time he lost ball striking was Rocket Mortgage, and then he's gained in. Look at these are awesome numbers, and he lost 2.4 strokes putting at Shriners. But the week before he gained 4. So if we can get a hot putting week, and if he could just perform like he did T11 and T14 at Fortinet and Sanderson, he may win this tournament because he doesn't have to make 25 birdies. So yeah, I really like Will Zalatoris this week, and I'm not crazy. His bet numbers are minus 45. I mean, not minus 45. He's a loser on bent, but I'm not really worried about the specialist this week. These greens, I mean, obviously you guys know there's a double greens. There's 36 greens on this course. These greens are so pure and well kept that everyone should putt pretty decent on these greens. They're a little slopey from what I remember. Like, I mean, extra slopey from what I remember. But if you guys go back to the Masters, let's see what Zalatoris putted at Augusta, because those are some of the slopiest greens in the world, and he was definitely a gainer, if I remember, at the Masters. Gained 6.33 strokes putting at the Masters, and he only lost because Hideki Matsuyama got caught in the rain delay happened, and Hideki was playing target golf. He was going at flags, and it was sticking. So Will Zalatoris has proven he can putt on these slopey greens, and if he could put up a performance like this, he's going to win this week. All right, so let's move down the betting board a little bit. Tommy Fleetwood being 22-1 is just like, is that a joke? Like, is that a joke? Let's look at Tommy Fleetwood, because my man is just like objectively bad at golf. He doesn't have his PGA Tour card. I hope you guys know he doesn't have his PGA Tour card. Look at him losing ball striking week after week after week. Look at this. Tommy Fleetwood is a ball striker. Like, that's when he and he's just not doing that. I don't know how you could bet Tommy Fleetwood, especially at 22-1. I don't want to shit on you guys for betting Tommy Fleetwood, but like, if you can sell me on Tommy Fleetwood, like, I don't get it. I don't get why I'm seeing Tommy Fleetwood being bet. But if you want to bet Tommy Fleetwood, go ahead. Joaquin Niemann, he modeled out for me, and I'm scared kind of that I'm not betting Joaquin Niemann, because I've bet him the last 2 weeks, and usually when you get off a guy the third week is the week they figure it out. But let's look at Joaquin Niemann, and I'll show you why I got off of him. So Joaquin Niemann is a great driver of the golf ball. Great driver of the golf ball, and he's good on bent grass. So look at these last 2 events. Lost 1.5 driving, which is very fluky for him. And I said he was going to figure it out the next week, which he did. And I said if he can pair it up with this putting performance, he's going to be in business. Didn't happen. So now that I'm looking at it again, this might be the week that both of these driver putter go in line. But look, see that 1.5 loss at the Shriners was very fluky. The last time he lost that much was 20. Oh my God. 2 Northern Trust to go. So yeah, I told you that was very fluky, and he's going to recover that driver, but he went back on bent the week after at CJ, and he just couldn't figure it out, the flat stick, which is tough to predict, but I feel like this could be a good week for Joaquin. I just couldn't get to him on the betting card, and I am kind of nervous because I'm a fan of him. I like watching him play. He's a very talented player, and he could do well this week. I mean, he played in the Olympics, which is a great comp course, and so he's familiar with playing in Japan. I do think Joaquin will do this week. Ricky Fowler also makes sense this week, but 25-1 is kind of an unbettable number after he's literally had one good tournament in the last 2 years, maybe 2 good tournaments. He had a good 3M Open, but he had one bad hole. Jonathan Vegas also makes sense here. Great driver of the golf ball. If he could go driver wedge on a lot of these holes, he's going to be in business. Let's see. Keegan modeled out for me, and he's actually a small gainer with his flat stick this season. I know it's been 2-3 events, but he's a small gainer with his flat stick, which is amazing for Keegan. If he could pair that, he is going to be in business. But can Keegan win right now? Let's look. Can Keegan win a golf tournament right now? When's the last time Keegan has won a golf tournament? Let's look. He was in it at the Valspar. Keegan last won a golf tournament in 2019. That's a good 2 years. And I don't know if he has it in him right now at this point of his career. I mean, obviously in his prime, Keegan was one of the best players in the world and could have won this in his field. But I just don't know if he has it in him to win a golf tournament, especially at 35-1. You won't find me betting Keegan Bradley. Maverick McNeely, don't think this place sets up well for him, but I love him and I hope he does well. See who else. Grillo, he modeled out for me. He was like 4th in my model. Let's dive into Grillo real quick. I bet him the first 2 weeks, and I was like, "What the hell am I doing betting Grillo?" He's a small gainer on bent grass. He went absolutely nuclear on Sunday at the CJ Cup. Shot like a 61 or 62 T18, and he lost. See, like this is just you don't. If we could bottle this up, this 3-week stretch from Wells Fargo to Charles Schwab, and pair it with a good Grillo ball striking week, but you just don't see it. He's won one time at Napa, and you guys know me. I'm an outright bettor. I don't think Grillo can win, especially in a no-cut event where you're giving the best players. I'm not saying the best players in the world, the few best players in this field, 4 rounds guaranteed. But I do think Grillo will perform well this week. Maybe a little T20 from him. Let's go down the board a little more. That will bring us to my next bet, who didn't model out for me really at all. A little bit, he popped a little bit, but every single week, like Sunday or Saturday of the tournament before, I write down guys that I feel just like gut feeling who I think has a good chance this week. And Carlos Ortiz, I wrote on that list. Why did I write Carlos Ortiz? I don't know if you guys remember at the Olympics, he at I think it was Saturday afternoon, he was the plus 380 betting favorite in the Olympics. And then on Sunday, he literally shot a 77. And that's very, very unlike him. Carlos Ortiz is a solid player. He won last season. And also, why I like Carlos Ortiz, he was second in approach at the CJ Cup based on the guys in this field, and second off the tee at the Shriners based on guys in this field. That paired with my gut, paired with how he performed at the Olympics in Japan, it wasn't really hard for me to get to Carlos Ortiz, and him at 55-1, that rounds out my betting card. Hideki, Will Zalatoris, and Carlos Ortiz. 3 guys, smallest card I ever put out, but it's full 5-unit allocation to a winner returns me 35 units. That's how we do it. I will go down the betting board and see if I like anyone else. Harry Higgs is very, very, very intriguing. He's starting to hit the ball really, really good. And this is a field where he can definitely contend. Definitely contend. Sebastian Munoz, also really interesting. He was in it at the Olympics as well, but he's just he's like Siwoo. He's so unpredictable all over every single week. Tough to back someone that predictable. I do like Munoz, but hard to get to. I saw a lot of Higo love. Higo almost finished dead last at the Olympics, and he hasn't really. I think he missed a cut in his only start this season. I could be wrong. I'm gonna look at Higo. I think he only played once this year and he missed a cut. But we don't know what to make of Garrett Higo. Like, what is he? He played one event. He missed the cut. He basically, I think he missed the cut by a stroke or two, so he didn't really do horrible. But I don't really get Higo here. Hasn't played well this season, and he missed his cut in his only appearance this year. Anyone else? Robert Trebb coming off an awesome week. I won't get there. Sean Norris, South African, Japanese golf tour. He's a good player on the Japanese golf tour. It might be sneaky. I like Sung Kang. He's a birdie maker. And I'm just going to go all the way down to someone that I couldn't fit in my betting card because I just didn't have the allocation for it. I almost bet Kadira like 250-1, but I couldn't fit him. And I like him because he can literally make. I was talking to my friends, and there's 4 par 4s, 350 to 400 yards. He might play those 4 par 4s 16 under this week, and then play everything else like 13 over and finish the week -3 because that's just so Kadira. He's gonna do good on the driver wedge holes, but he might get beat up on the few long par 3s and the long par 5s. This is a par 70. There's 5 par 3s and 3 par 5s. We're very weird, and there's also 36 greens. That's what we're getting in Japan, and we're getting primetime golf. How could you complain? So, yeah, there's not really much to write home with this week. I'm sorry. It's a 3-man card. It's Decky, Zalatoris, and Carlos Ortiz. So, yeah, that's going to do it for me. If you have any more questions, feel free to DM me. But quick week this week. Good luck to everyone at ZOZO. Make sure you lock in your stuff early because it's going to start early, 13 hours ahead. And yeah, hope everyone has a good week.